So now discuss directive principle, important points you can see. So it is directive principle. So it is mainly so enumerated. It's from part 4 of the Constitution and article from article 36 to 51. The framers of the Constitution borrowed from idea from the Irish Constitution of 1937, which had copied it from Spanish Constitution, where it copied from Spanish, but we taking it from Irish Constitution 1937. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar described it is a noble features of the Indian Constitution. And Granville Austin, important points. Granville Austin described directive principles and fundamental rights are as the consents of the Constitution. So directive principles and fundamental rights are consents of the Constitution. Now discuss it. Now it is discussed now features of the directive principle. So it deals that it notes the ideals that the state should keep in mind while formulating policies and enacting laws. So it notes the ideals that state should keep in mind while formulate policies and enacting laws. So it is important line, and here article, according to article, so here important these are the constitutional instruction on or recommendation to the state in legislative, executive and administrative matters. So article 36 denotes state in part 4 has the same meaning as in part 3. State, please remember, state is the important. Article 36 derives, and therefore it includes the legislative and executive organs of the central and state governments. Okay, all local authorities and all other public authority in the country. So Dr. Sherry, directive principles resemble the instrument of instruction enumerated in the Government of India Act 1935. It is so DPSP resemble instrument of instruction enumerated in the Government of India Act 1935. In the word Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he also described the directive principles are like instrument of instruction which were issued to the Governor General. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar he also describes that the DPSP directive principles are like the instrument of instruction which were issued to the Governor General and to the governors of the colonies of India by the British government. So important point it is, okay. So Government of India Act 1935 it is mainly described. So what is directive principles is merely another name for the instrument of instruction. So here it's not important, okay. So here it is a comprehensive economic and social and political program. A very comprehensive economic, social and political program for a modern democratic state. They aim at realizing the high ideals of justice, liberty, equality and fraternity as outlined in the preamble of the Constitution. They aim at realizing the high ideals of justice, equality, liberty, fraternity as outlined in the preamble of the Constitution, okay. They embody the concept of welfare state and not the police state which existed during the colonial era. In brief, they seek to establish political and social democracy in the country. So it is non-justiciable. So if question comes, it is the directive principle are justiciable in nature? No, it is non-justiciable in nature. Important. that is, they are not legally enforceable by the courts for their violation. They are not directly legally enforceable by the courts for their violation. Therefore, the government, central, state, and local government cannot compelled to implement them. Nevertheless, the Constitution Article 37 itself says that these principles are fundamental in the governance of the country. Article 37 itself says that these principles are fundamental in the governance of the country, and itself be the duty of the state to apply these principles in making law. So it is mainly the Article 37 itself says that principles are fundamental in the governance of the country, and itself the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws. So directive principles, though non-justiciable in nature, help in courts in examining and determining the constitutional validity of a law. So you have a Supreme Court. Here is Supreme Court has ruled many a time that in determining the constitutionality of any law, it is not important. So it is mainly the Supreme Court ruled here that many a times that in determining the constitutionality of any law, if a court finds that the law in question seeks to give effect to directive principle, it may consider such law to be reasonable. So if it seeks to give any effect to the directive principle, it may consider such law is reasonable. It is important, and here if Supreme Court ruled here, okay, important it is. And here in relation to Article 14, it is reasonable in relation to Article 14, equality before law. Article 14 please remember, equality before law, EBL, equality before law. Article 14, equality before law, and Article 19 gave 6 freedoms. 6 freedom. Article 19 given, important, please remember. And thus such law are unconstitutionality. So such law are unconstitutionality now if it's violated. If the law is violated, and then Supreme Court ruled here, and reasonable it is, please remember, and article reasonable in relation to Article 14 and 19, please remember. So classification of directive principle. The Constitution does not contain any classification of the directive principle. However, on the basis of their content and direction, they can be classified into 3 broad categories. What categories? Socialist, Gandhian, and liberal intellectual. Please remember, S, G, social Gandhian, S, G, and liberal intellectual. So please remember, social Gandhian and liberal intellectual, LI. SGL, CGL, SGL. So social Gandhian and liberal intellectual. Please remember, classification three mainly. We classified it mainly 3 categories. First, here is socialistic principles. Please remember, here is some important article like Article 38, Article 39, Article 39A, 41. All are important. All are come under this socialist article. Okay, we classified it, and all article come under Article 38. What Article 38? Please remember, and to promote welfare of the people by securing a social order and permitted by justice, social, economic, political justice, and misuse inequalities in income, status, facilities, opportunity. It is now discussed, Article 38. And Article 39, to secure the right to adequate means of livelihood for all citizens. The right to adequate means of livelihood for all citizens, and to an equitable distribution of material resources of the community. So here important is Article 38. So here is welfare. Please, so justice mainly, justice and welfare. Here is social, economic, and political justice and status, opportunity. And Article 39 describes. So Article 39 describes here mainly some of the important important rules, like to secure the right to adequate means of livelihood for all citizens, and to enable distribution of material resource, to enable material resource distributed equally of the community for the common good, and prevention of concentration of wealth and means of production, equal pay for equal work for men and women, and preservation of health and strength of the workers and children against forcible abuse, and opportunities for healthy development of children, article 39. So it is important, very very important. So opportunities for healthy development of children, article 39, it ensures it. And please remember, so article 39a, which tells also to promote equal justice and to provide free legal aid to the poor, it is important. So we gave all the equal justice, we gave all equal justice and provide free legal aid to the poor, very very important, article 39a. And article 41 is important, it's come under socialistic principles. So to secure, or mainly socialistic means society is some of the important principles, they are important. So to secure right to work, right to education and public assistance in case of unemployment, old age, sickness, etc. So disablement and theory, it is important. And article 39a, to promote equal justice and provide free legal aid to the poor. So next we discuss others, some of the important articles. So article 41, to secure right to work, right to education, okay, now it's in. And article 42, to make provisions for just and human condition of work and maternity relief, article 42. And 6 here now, article 43, to secure living wage and decent standard of life and social and cultural opportunities for all workers, social and cultural opportunities for all workers. 7, to take steps to secure participation of workers in the management of industries, article 43, it's described. To take steps to secure the participation of workers in the management industries, 43a. And to secure a living wage mainly, then 43 it is. And standard of life and social and cultural opportunities for all workers. And here 47, to raise level of nutrition and standard of living of people and to improve public health, 47. Improve nutrition and standard of living and improve health. So now we discuss all the things, socialistic principle. Now it is in Gandhian principle, important Gandhian principle, like these principles are based on Gandhian ideology. They represent the program of reconstruction enunciated by Gandhi during the national movement. So mainly Gandhi's principle. So in order to fulfill the dreams of Gandhi, some of his ideas include as directive principles, such as to organize village panchayats and organize, very very important. Gandhi's village panchayat is very very important, and she also works it all the time. So to organize village panchayat and endow them with necessary power. Okay, down to top approach. Now it's in Niti Aayog style. It is Gandhian principle. And here an authority to enable them function and as units of self-government, article 40. Self-government is important here, because we import the village panchayats. It is important because down to top approach is important for the economy and for the growth of the countries. It helps us to achieve sustainable growth. Okay, so others are like the please then to promote cottage industries. And this is important, it is principal, cottage industries, upgrade cottage industries, 43 it is. And on an individual or cooperation basis in rural areas. So in rural areas mainly, article 43. To promote voluntary formation and autonomous functioning, democratic control and professional management of cooperative societies, article 43b. To promote voluntary formation, autonomous functioning and democratic control and professional management, important it is, article 43b. So to promote voluntary formation, it is important, please remember, voluntary formation, autonomous functioning, democratic control, professional management and cooperative society. Cooperative society is mainly 43b, please remember. And to promote the educational and economic interest of SC/ST, promote education and economic. Okay, so it is, please remember, as for SC/ST and other weaker sections of the society, mainly Gandhiji's tell also it's of the society, and to protect them. from social injustice and exploitation. Article 46. Here cooperative societies 43b, and 43 is the cooperation basis of rural areas, and cooperative societies and management is 43b, and Article 46 is to integrate, to upgrade economically and social educationally to for SC and ST community. Okay, and weakest section of the society. Protect from the social injustice and exploitation. And 47 to prohibit the consumption of intoxicating drinks and drugs which are injurious to health. To prohibit the consumption of intoxicating drinks and drugs which are injurious for health, injurious to health, and to prohibit the slaughter of cows and calves and other milch and draught cattle to improve their breeds. So it is important. Gandhiji also tells that to prohibit the slaughter of cows and calves and other milch and draught cattle and to improve their breeds. Okay, important. Improve their breeds. Article 48. Here liberal and intellectual principle, last principle. So this principle include the ideology of liberalism. They direct the state to secure for all the citizens, to secure for all citizens a uniform civil code throughout the country. Article 44. To secure all the citizens a uniform civil code throughout the country. Article 44. Please remember, important. Uniform civil code 44. Article 44. And second is to provide early childhood care and education for all until they complete the age of 6 years. 45. Article 45. She also gives here also it is important to provide early childhood care and education for all the children until the age of 6 years. And third is to organize agriculture and animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines. Scientifically, we can improve our animal husbandry system and agriculture system. So it is Article 48. And to protect and improve environment and safeguard forest and wildlife. Article 48A. And to protect monuments, places and objects and or of artistic historic interest which are declared to be national importance, and to protect monuments, places and objects of artistic and historic interest which are declared to be national importance. Article 49. Many monuments and other historic places are important here, so for national importance, so it is Article 49. And to separate the judiciary from the executive in the public service of the state. Separate judiciary from executive. Separate judiciary from executive. So Article 50. And to promote intellectual peace and security. To promote international peace and security, and maintain just and honorable relations between nations, to foster respect for international law and treaty obligation, and to encourage settlement of international disputes by arbitration. Article 51. So international to promote international peace and security and maintain just and honorable relations between nations, and to foster respect for international law and treaty obligation, and to encourage settlement of international disputes arbitration. Article 51. So new directive principles such as Article 39 to secure opportunities for health and healthy development of children, and Article 39, and to promote equal justice and free legal aid to the poor. Article 39A, and to take steps to secure participation of workers in the management industry. Article 43A, and to protect, improve the environment and safeguard the wildlife. 48A within. And 44th Amendment Act of 1978 added one more directive principle, which requires the state to minimize inequalities of income status, facilities and opportunities. Article 38. State to minimize inequalities in income and status, facilities and opportunity. Article 38. So it is mainly 44th Amendment Act. So Article 38, he added one more directive principles which requires the state to minimize inequalities in income, status, facilities and opportunity. Article 86th Amendment Act of 2002 It is 44th Act 1978, and here it is 86th Amendment Act 2002. So 44th it is 1978 and 86 it is 2002. Change the subject matter of Article 45 and made elementary education a fundamental rights under Article 21A. So made fundamental rights made under Article 21A. Okay, so elementary education. So fundamental rights made elementary education a fundamental rights it is, and it is come under Article 21A. And the amended directive requires the state to provide early childhood care, and education for all children until they complete the age of 6 years. So it is important. So the amended directive principles the state to provide early childhood care, and education for all the children until they complete the age of 6 years. So the 97th Amendment Act of 2011 added a new directive principle related to cooperative societies. Article here in 1970 Amendment Act of 2011. So it is remember please. And here 86 is in 2002. Here Article 45 here also it describes some of the important things. Okay, elementary education, it is a fundamental rights under Article 21, and here 97th Act here added new directive principles relating to cooperative societies, and it requires to promote voluntary formation, autonomous functioning, democratic control, professional management, cooperative societies, Article 43B. So next, sanction behind directive principles. Sir B.N. Rao, the constitutional advisor to the Constituent Assembly, recommended that the rights of the individual should be divided into two categories. Right of the individual should be divided into two categories, justiciable and non-justiciable, which was accepted by the drafting committee. So rights. So Sir B.N. Rao, constitutional advisor, so recommended the rights of the individual. It should be divided into two categories, justiciable and non-justiciable, which are accepted by the drafting committee. Consequently, the fundamental rights which are justiciable in nature, are incorporated in Part 3, and DPSP, directive principles, which are non-justiciable. So fundamental rights which are justiciable in Part 3, and DPSP, it is non-justiciable in nature, incorporated in Part 4 of the Constitution. Okay, remember? So DPSP non-justiciable, and it is incorporated in Part 4 of the Constitution. Though the DPSP directive principles are non-justiciable, the Constitution Article 37 makes it clear that these principles are fundamental in the governance of the country. So Article 37 makes it clear that these principles are fundamental in the governance of the country, and itself is the duty of the state to apply these duty. Apply these principles in making laws. Okay, so these principles, so Article 37 makes it clear that these principles are fundamental in the governance of the country, and itself the duty of the state to apply these principles in the making laws. Sir B.N. Rao also describes here, and thus they impose moral obligation of the state on the state authorities for their application. But the real force behind them is political. Okay, so real force what is? It is political, not others, not economic, not others. Real force is behind them is political. That is public opinion. So as observed, Alladi Krishna Swamy Iyer, no ministry, he also described, no ministry responsible to the people can afford light-heartedly to ignore the provisions in Part 4 of the Constitution. No ministry, he also, Alladi Krishna Swamy Iyer, he also describes, no ministry responsible to the people can afford light-heartedly to ignore the provisions of Part 4 of the Constitution. Similarly, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he also said that, he said in the Constituent Assembly, a government which rests on popular vote can hardly ignore the directive principles while shaping its policy. If any government ignores them, so here B.R. Ambedkar tells that a government which which rests on popular vote can hardly ignore the directive principles while shaping its policy. If any government ignores them, it will be certainly have to answer. If any person he also ignored, any government ignored it, then he also gave the answer. Why? Why you are doing it? And so you have to answer for before the electorate to the election time. The framers of the constitution made the directive principle non-justiciable and legally non-enforceable because so framers of the constitution made it why made it directive principle non-justiciable and not it is legally non-enforceable. Okay, it is non-justiciable and legally non-enforceable because the country did not possess sufficient financial resource to implement them. The country did not possess sufficient financial resources to implement them, and the presence of vast diversity. So, because the framers, why framers also doing that? Because the country did not possess sufficient financial resource, financial problem now, to implement them, and the presence of vast diversity here, vast diversity country and backwardness. So it is mainly important, and newly born independent states, Indian state, which has many preoccupations might be grasped. Okay, so newly independent states. So under the burden, unless it was free to decide in the order, the time, the place, and mode of fulfilling them. Okay, and the constitution makers refers, therefore, taking a pragmatic view, refrained refrained from giving teeth of this principle. They believed more in the advocate, public opinion rather than court procedure. So public opinion is important here. So for fulfillment of the principle. So criticism of the directive principle: it is no legal force. There is no legal force, and illogical arrangement and conservative. It is mainly conservative. Some of the important person they also gave it some of the important thing, and it is constitutional conflict now here. So thank you.